welcome back to the Always Reading Book Club. It is your girl Kiki Reader, and we are diving back into the Surrender Trilogy by Lydia Michaels. Now, if you have not listened to the review for book one, which is called Falling In, that review is going to be listed down below in the description section. Once you finish that review, come and join us as we dive into book two, Breaking Out. We start off with Evelyn leaving out of the Patras Hotel, and Dugan, the driver, is going to take her to Patras Industries. And so she's all dressed up in this like pencil skirt, nice jacket over her blouse. She looks amazing. So she goes to his office. She's really nervous. Dugan's like, "Do you need me to wait for you outside?" And she says, "No need, and don't call up. He'll make sure I find a way to get home." Okay, bet. She goes up, and she goes to the 15th floor. A guy leering at her while she's in the elevator, so she's so ready to get off of there. So she finally gets to the 15th floor, and the guy at the desk says, "Do you have an appointment?" And she's like, "I'm here to see Mr. Patras." And of course, the guy's like, again, like, "Do you have an appointment?" She says, "No, because you just let him know that Miss Keats is here." And he goes, "Oh," so like he knows, because I'm quite sure he's the person that's been handling a lot of the requests that Lucian's been doing for her. So he buzzes Lucian. Lucian says, "Bring her right in." And she comes in, and they're doing a little role play thing. And it's like she's there for an interview. And it's all fun. And then he tells her to take off her panties. And he winds up giving her a nice hard fuck. And then he's got a meeting with the accountant in a few minutes. But he tells her what he wants her to do is get underneath the desk. And she's going to suck him off until he comes down her throat. Well, she's like, okay. So sure enough, that's what she does. We know he's an exhibitionist, and I think we know he likes the fact that someone else is in the room. That turns him on. But at the same time, he never wants to share her, So the idea of someone being near is good enough, but not them actually seeing her or being inside of her, like that wouldn't work for him. So he almost got caught with the guy because she started like getting into the sucking. And so he was able to play it off like he was clearing his throat or some shit like that. So that worked. And then the guy leaves, and they're about to go at it. And Seth almost caught them. I think Seth knew what they were doing, but because he heard a sound. So he was like, "Is everything okay?" She's embarrassed, and he's like, "There's no need to be embarrassed." He's like, "Besides, I'm going to make you come twice before you leave here today anyway." And sure enough, that's what he did. So Evelyn and Tony, aka Antoinette, Lucian's baby sister, they're at this like Irish festival. And this is her first time being at the actual festival because, normally she's there after hours. She's getting the, leftovers of what's there. So this is a different experience for her. And unfortunately, Tony is kind of messing it up for her. So she made a lot of the stuff is homemade, right? And it's very interesting to her. These are treasures to her. These are beautiful things to her. But to Evelyn, it's just trash. Does it? And it's kind of messed up because the vendor's standing right there. She's looking at this sea glass and these silver spoons, and she loves them. And here someone is looking at it like it's nothing. But again, I don't think they know her. Maybe, I'm trying to think, but I don't remember him ever saying that he's told, either Isadora or Isadora, his older sister, or Tony, what her life was like before. I don't think he's told them that. Maybe if they did, they would be more sensitive. But you know what? This kind of lets you see their thought process. So I kind of prefer that because this is what you really think. you may look at me and think, oh, I, shouldn't be homeless, right? They could look at her and say she shouldn't be homeless, she shouldn't have these issues, but then look at other people and have this like low opinion of them. So I think it's good that he didn't say anything, but it was out of our girl Evelyn. Like she was getting like really aggravated with her. And what she winds up doing is buying everything that the vendor had. Because she said, well, how much for all of it? He said, I don't, maybe $40. So she gave him $100 bill. She got the money from Dugan, gave him $100 bill. He said, I don't have any change. She said, don't worry about it. Use the rest of that and treat yourself and have a nice day. So again, we already know Evelyn is not about just having money. She's not about that. She does understand its need for survival. You know what I'm saying? She gets that. And she's also a very good person and she always wants everyone else to have. So to me, I just think she's a good person, you know? And she was ready to be done with Tony. She was over it. They ran into Jamie on the street and her and Jamie had a back and forth. Tony storms off, gets in the limo, and then he of course said a couple things to Evelyn or whatever, and he just kind of was like, when it comes to Tony, she's just childish, left it at that. She gets in the limo, Tony's still pouting, saying how, he's just such a oldster and all this type of stuff, and he just needs to get laid. And then she's like, all he ever dates are these hookers. So it's like, well, which one is it, baby? If he need to get laid, you sound like you're jealous, is what you sound like. So finally she gets rid of her. She was so happy. She was so happy to get rid of her. And Tony was like, oh, it was so much fun, we should do it again. And in her head she's thinking, maybe not for a while. So she's supposed to meet Lucian at like 8 o'clock or something like that for dinner. She goes in the penthouse, it's dark, she sees a shadow, and then someone grabs her. And they tell her they're going to have their way with her until her man comes home. But she can smell, she knows it's Lucian. But for a moment, she didn't. So again, I guess this is their way of that possibility of someone else being with someone else, but not. And as they're doing this, it's almost like he needs reassurance that she just wants him. Because he had made this comment when he had her in the bedroom, like, I'm going to, like, let some others have their way with you, right? So that freaked her out. Because she was like, no, that can't be possible. He wouldn't let anybody else touch me. But then it's like, he saw how wet she was. It was kind of like, are you wet because you feel like they'll do you better? Like, there's these insecurities. But I'm like, but y'all need to stop playing these type of stupid fucking games. Because this can cause a problem. Anyway, they wind up having a nice heart fuck. And, he's very much an exhibitionist. And her fear is that because he's that, if she's not able... she says she enjoys these games, but I also feel like she may feel as if she has to play these games because what if the life he had before like rears its ugly head and he needs to do that again, right? He needs to screw her in front of somebody or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. I just feel like those are just dangerous little games. That's all I'm saying. She wakes up the next morning, didn't feel him in the bed. He wakes up early, just kind of sits, waits for the rest of the world to wake up. They talked about her purchases the day before. He was happy that she did something that made her happy, because she was kind of worried that he was going to be, like Tony and say like it was trash or whatever. So that was good. He's got this look on his face. She asks him what's going on, and he says, I'm fine, everything's okay. They have breakfast, and he looks at the sea glass, and she told him, which one was her favorite. And then I'm quite sure they had sex again. That makes sense with them. She knows she loves him, but she still is afraid to say it. Lucian helps her with her reading, and so she's getting better, nowhere near any high level. She thinks about Parker. We get a few flashback memories. So when she met Parker, they became close because when she was at the tracks, there was this guy named Slim who her mom used to trick with. And one time he came when the mom wasn't there and he tried to touch her. And so she screamed. Parker came in, beat the shit out of him, and they've been friends ever since. She also has a memory of when there was a certain time of year they could go to like little league games. This was like free entertainment. And she saw him banging some woman. And of course, he didn't want her to see that. And she kind of got upset because it was like, I'm not a little child. It's not like I don't know what that is. She's seen adults do this right in front of her. You know what I mean? But he's always treated her like a kid. So she didn't know if maybe what she felt was jealousy. She didn't really recognize it, you know? And it could have been that because maybe he felt like hers. He was her friend. And then he's banging somebody else. Maybe there was a little territorial thing going on. She's not really sure. Um, she doesn't believe that Parker has any type of deep affection for her, the way that Lucian described, because he's always treated her more like this sisterly type of love. So she really doesn't think this man has feelings for her. So then she decides she wants to make something out of this sea glass, like a necklace, something. So she wants to go to a craft store. Well, Lucian is like, I don't think there's any craft stores around here. And she says there's one by the library. Well, of course, in the lower parts near St. Christopher's. So she's trying to go and check on Parker, not realizing that at one point, well, maybe Parker's gone from the hotel. Because the last book that we read in the Falling In, he went to go work for old boy. So then, yeah, she wouldn't see him anymore. So he, of course, wants to know, is that the only reason why? She says, yes. We find out that she's tried to go down there a few times and she always gets caught. It's this argument. And so she knows this is going to be a problem if she gets caught. So the next day she goes down to the craft store. Dugan's right there with her. She said she wanted to go to the library. Dugan's looking at her all like, okay. And he says, he has plans for you for dinner. She's like, it won't be long. So she goes into the library. She picks up some books, but she doesn't see Parker anywhere. And she's just hoping that Parker is okay. Again, it's not like this is the person that's been her friend forever. I guess probably like 10 years, most of her life, or a good chunk of it. And I kind of am annoyed with the fact that because there's this whole deal going on that she has nothing to do with, she can't get the basics of he's doing all right. You know? I just think that's shitty on Lucian's part. That's the least you can do. So they're at dinner. He asked her how her day went. She told him. He brought up again when she was talking about how she had lunch with Patrice. He brought up about that bill that he had to pay for all those drinks for everybody. And she's thinking in her head, like, God damn, like I do something once and every time he wants to bring it up. And he's being weird. Flat out asks him, like, what is wrong with you? And he says it's still he put in place and it's a lot. The time frame has moved up. It's throwing him off, right? So she winds up going to the restroom and he winds up following her. And when she looks up, she sees that he's watching her. I guess she's at the sink. And she's like, what are you doing? You got to get out of here. He's like, I own this place. So she's about to walk back to the table. And he says, I'm not ready to go back yet. And he told her to take her dress off. And she almost made. Because she just didn't know where this was coming from. But she gave in and they fucked, but she didn't even come. He came inside of her, but whatever was dripping, he like rubbed it on her cooch and on her stomach and told not to wipe it off until he did. So I'm like, okay, this is some, another level of territorial bullshit. So he even put a hickey on her neck and stuff. It was like he was marking her. And he even made the comment like mine as he was fucking her. So when they get back upstairs, she had got him a gift. It was a picture of the hotel, and she had in the little thing at the bottom engraved, because they did that at the craft store, home. And she gave it to him, and it seemed to give him more comfort than she thought it would. She just thought it was nice, and it made him happy because she was saying this was her home. And in her mind, she's thinking, why the hell would he ever doubt that, It's Sunday. Lucian's been acting better since that Friday night. He asked her if she wanted to go do something, and she was down for it. He told her if she wanted to go visit her mom, they can do that. She's like, okay, cool. She talked to him about getting a job. He, of course, you don't need a job, blah, blah, blah. I give you everything. Of course, this equates to him giving her money. She feels like a whore when he does that. She's like, I want to be able to buy gifts for people that she almost said love, but we got to remember she still hasn't told him she loves him. We know she does, but she hasn't said it to him. He always says it to her, and he's waiting to hear that from her. And so when she doesn't say it, his face looks a little crestfallen, but it is what it is. But in her head, when you love someone, they're going to treat you bad because that's what her mom does. She loves her mom. Her mom treats her bad. So he says to give him a couple of weeks. He'll try and see what he can find. He knows she doesn't want to work at the hotel. So, because it's weird. That's why she wound up having to quit. It was just weird. Like, everybody know you banging the boss and then you cleaning rooms. This shit it look crazy. And even though her reading is getting better, it's still not to the part where she can be like doing shit at the receptionist desk. So she needs to go somewhere else. So he wants to make sure that whatever boss she has isn't like some horrible creep before she works there. And that she can deal with. She's like, fine, that'll work. So they go and visit the mom. Sure enough, the mom is no different. She did ask about Parker this time. The mom is snickering at her, saying, oh, you've gotten all fancy, all this type of crap. Then she's like, let's get out of here. Let's go back to the life we had before. And she realizes her mom is the same. It's been 4 months. It's March now. And her mom's still on the same bullshit. She's not stuck here, but she doesn't know that. So she can leave at any time, but they're not going to tell her. And the staff doesn't say anything either to her. So she leaves, and I don't know. I know this is her mother. I get that. But what mother wants you to go back to living on the street? Like, what parent wants that? There is something, that's not just drugs. There's something else. Like, that's what you want? Because she ain't got no drugs in the system. So this is what you feel. This is what you want. She's still an addict, because I know they say once you are, you always will be, right? It's just a matter of whether you give into that or not. But it's like, if this is what it is, this is never going to stop. I just feel so bad for her, because it's like, this woman is so awful. She's so toxic. She always winds up saying some bullshit to her before she leaves. She tells Evelyn, you ain't worth shit, before she leaves out. It's just like, it's torturing herself, is what it is. I don't know. We also find out where the name Scout came from. She could always scout the best stuff. She could always find stuff for people. Anything someone needed, she was really good at finding them. So that's where her name Scout came from. Next morning, she wakes up. She gets a kiss on the cheek from Lucian. He's going to be gone all day in meetings. He's not going to be back until around 7 o'clock that evening. He told her he had a gift for her. He leaves. It's his big thing. It's a craft desk. And he told, left a note that she could call down to the front desk. He used simple big words for her. And they'll put it together for her. He called her and he asked her if she liked it. She said, I loved it. I love it. He says, I love you. She doesn't respond back. She can hear the disappointment in his voice. So he wanted to get off the phone. So Jose comes up, puts the desk together. She sets everything up, gets the books that she got from the library, and she doesn't know what she's doing. She's afraid she's going to mess this stuff up. But now she's thinking this is the perfect time to go down to St. Christopher's and see if she can find Parker. So she's able to duck out. She winds up catching a cab. An employee was calling her name, but she got in the cab and got away. So the cab driver was like, you sure you want to go there? When she says St. Christopher's? And she says, yep, that's where I want to go. And so he gets her there. It's closed because, the way it works, the way they describe it, the shelter, everyone has to be out by 8 a.m. and then they can come back the next day after, I don't know what time with this one. It could be 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. I'm not sure. And so the driver leaves and she can see a lot of the improvements that have been made. There's new roofs on both the old school and the church. There's new railings, new sidewalks, all kind of stuff. So then a guy named Marty or something like that winds up trying to rob her. He's got a knife and he's telling her to give up her whole bag. And she's like, do you remember me? And he's like, who? She says, Scout. And then she says, have you seen Parker? And he says, well, Parker ain't been around here in a month. No, he says Parker hasn't been around here in a while. I think he said. So she's thinking, first thought, Parker's got to be dead. And so he told her, you look different, but your eyes are the same. But he said, but it don't matter to me. I'm still finna rob you. Well, she grew up on the street. She knows how to fight. She was ready to fight him. But then a gun comes right across her face. The guy gets scared. It's our guy, Dugan. So Dugan just tells her to get in the limo. She tried to explain to him. He wouldn't talk to her. He said, just get in the limo. And then she tries to talk to him when she gets in the window, and he just puts up the privacy window. Wouldn't even talk to her. I say, well, damn. I'm not shocked by Dugan's response because, let's be honest, he's probably going to get in trouble for this shit, right? So she's in the apartment with Dugan. He still won't talk to her. Lucian comes in. He is so pissed. Dugan leaves and he goes, what were you doing that side of town? You could have been killed. What were you looking for? Or should I say who? And she says, I just wanted to know if he was okay. And so he's like, why do you need to know if he's okay? Just tell me the truth. So then he starts spilling all this stuff. And he's like, you love him, don't you? That's why you keep trying to find him. And she says, no, I told you I don't see him that way. He's my friend. He's my only friend. And again, that's the part that I kind of feel like he's looking at this from just his perspective and not from the fact that this is her friend. She does not know this man is in love with her. You could have given her some form of solace by just letting her know he's doing fine. I heard he got a good job. He's doing well. Maybe he'll reach out to you when he's ready. I mean, anything. But you know what's going on and you won't tell her anything. And now she's being accused of stuff because you've got shit going on. This backdoor deal. And you're terrified of what's about to happen. And she's paying for it. And it's just insane. It's just so insane. And it's the idea that you don't look at the fact that's her only friend. She hasn't seen that boy in months. It's like, come on. So he says, well, what if he is okay? And he's doing well for himself. Would that change how you feel about him? And she's like, I doubt that's possible, but that's not what this is about. And so he just shut down. He didn't want her to touch him. He left, and she realizes she probably has pushed him too far. Lucian doesn't come home until after 2 in the morning. He tells her just go back to sleep. She's like, are you hurt? Because he broke a vase earlier, so it looks like he might have stepped in it. He's like, I'm fine, just go back to sleep. He left and went in the guest room. It crushed her. She cried herself to sleep. Next morning, she wakes up. She hears him on the phone saying, no, not an efficiency, but a studio apartment. And I need enough money in there so that it can take care of her bills and set, all this type of stuff. We'll have limited contact, all this type of stuff. So she's thinking, oh my God, he's really going to throw me out. So she goes and takes a long shower, puts on a couple layers of clothes because she's thinking she's going back to the streets. So when she comes out, he tells her breakfast is here and there's coffee. She winds up burning her self and she starts crying. He says, and she says to him, are you kicking me out? He says, no, why would you think that? And she says, I heard you on the phone. He's like, no, I promise. I would never do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. And he's like, just promise me what happened yesterday won't happen again. And she says, I promise. And again, he's doing okay and you could just tell her that, but you won't do it. So the problem is you don't trust her emotions because she won't say them to you. So because she won't say she loves you, that means there's a possibility she loves someone else, and that's why she can't say it to you, is how he's taking it. As always, making everything about him. Not realizing this girl has a lot of fucking issues. She's trying to navigate shit the best way she can, but it doesn't sound like he's got her in therapy and she needs to fucking be in therapy, because there's a lot of stuff that she needs to process. But after that, they wind up like making love. She's starting to get a little annoyed because for the past week, he's not going to let her be by herself. It seems like if he leaves out for anything, mysteriously someone from housekeeping winds up coming in and having to clean or something. So she's never by herself, and it's starting to piss her off. So then she decides she's going to start trying to make some jewelry because after hearing that conversation with him on the phone, she feels like, does he have another woman? Is he putting me up in this place because he's making room for someone else? And so she's like, let me try and see what I can work with this jewelry. And so she starts making stuff and eventually starts coming out pretty good. He called a jeweler to come over and help her with sizing and stuff like that. And she had a bit of a freak out because she couldn't find her favorite piece of sea glass. So she didn't use that at first because she figured these other ones are kind of like, the first pancake. She didn't want to mess the piece she really loved. She didn't want to mess that up. I get that. So she's flipping around, trying to find this piece. And he's like, maybe you just left it somewhere. And she's like, no. She's like, I love it. Again, so you're able to say you love everything, but you can't tell him you love him. So he leaves, and then he calls her, and he's like, I'm sorry. She's like, I'm sorry, too. They had a fight. He says, it shouldn't have been. I shouldn't have, she was blowing up at him. And she's like, I shouldn't have done that. And he says, I think we need to, get away. And she says, you mean go spend some time at the estate? She's down for it. And then he says, we'll have dinner, but try not to wear anything too sexy. Now, he's never said that to her before. She says, okay. So she puts on some pants, a sweater, blouse, or whatever, and he comes in and he says, you can't help it. You're just beautiful. So then they're headed down to the restaurant for the reservation, and it feels very doomsday to her. And he's kind of like, I just need you to promise me that after this, whatever happens, that you're still going to come with me to the estate. And she says, of course, what's going on? And so they head down, and I'm like, I guarantee I know who this is going to be. This should be interesting. They get down there, she sees someone at the table, and she realizes that it's Parker. She hugs him. She's so happy to see him. She, drops Lucian's hand. She's caught up in seeing Parker. She told him, I thought you were dead. He's like, no, I wouldn't do that to you without telling you first. So they're talking, and she's like, well, you look great. What have you been up to? And he says, he's gotten a job in an office. He's gotten 2 promotions already. He's learning really quickly. He just put a down payment on his own place. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, where are you working? And he just said on the West End. And he said something about his boss knowing Lucian, but that's all he gave her. And so Lucian changes the subject and she notices both of them start changing the subject a lot. Parker then asks about Pearl. And then Lucian said that they were going to be going away for a little bit. And Parker was like, for how long? Now that seemed weird to her. Because, she couldn't imagine, why would Parker be asking Lucian how long we're going away for? And Lucian says for about a week. And so then Parker says how he's working on this merger. It's going to take all of his time. But by the first of the month, he should be ready to complete everything. And so something's going on. She doesn't know what. They're speaking in code. But, of course, no one's going to tell her anything. Parker just says to her, he gives her his card and just says, you call me whenever. And he tells her, I'll see you soon. X, Y, and Z. And then they left. So they get to the estate and he immediately starts drinking. And she goes upstairs for a moment, comes back, and he was damn near plastered. And they have this discussion. He still doesn't say anything about the deal that he made with Parker, but he wanted to understand the phrase that Parker had said, which was from the book The Great Gatsby. And he said he never read it, but he wanted her to tell him about the story, and so she did. And so he says, so do you think I'm Gatsby? I'm the rich bastard? She's like, no, I don't think that way. So he was telling her, Parker's not as innocent as you make him out to be. He's ruthless. And again, in her mind, it's just that's just her friend, and that's just kind of it. She doesn't see anything else. But she was tired of beating around the bush. And so she really wanted to know what was going on with him, but he's still not budging. He's still not saying anything. So she went upstairs. He came up later. They made love. The next morning, he's making breakfast. They have a conversation. She asked him about Monique. And he says, she asked if he had ever loved her, and he said, I cared for her, but I was never in love with her. He said Monique liked to play games. She acted as if she was submissive, but she wanted complete control, and she knew she could always go to Slade for sympathy, and that's what happened. He said it got dangerous, Slade brought her that damn motorcycle. And he was like, she needs to have lessons. Slade at least agreed on that. She took one lesson. And she was supposed to have her second one the next day, but she took the bike out that night and got killed on impact. So he says, this is why I have to, and I need control. Because I need to make sure that you're safe. And I'm like, okay. I understood. As soon as he said what happened before, that she died on that, it clearly was something happened when he had said about the motorcycle. I was like, oh, that's why he has that control issue. But for Evelyn, that was a big part of your life and you don't talk about it. So this was the most he had ever really talked about the situation. So she liked that, For her, submissive isn't a bad thing. She's not going to give him all of her free will, but she does like not having to make decisions about everything, being that the way she grew up was about survival and always having to find out a way to make things happen. It's exhausting, right? So for someone to come in and make the decisions for you, it gives her some solemn. I get that. And we've kind of read that with our different books when we have people that are submissives, they say it just kind of gives their mind like this, it lifts that weight off of their mind. These basic things, they don't have to be boggled down with them. So, again, don't ever give over your free will. But again, I can honestly see how that could work for her. It makes sense, you know? And she was taking care of everybody else. So it's nice to have someone that comes in and wants to take care of her and wants to make sure she's okay. And then, of course, after that conversation, they have a nice heart club. They go out in the field because, it's a huge property. There's tons of lilies. We find out that was his mother's favorite flower. Now, his mother seems like she might have had some issues too, because he says it seemed like his mom was only happy if she had her husband, his father. And then his father never seemed to be happy. So he described a memory of when he was a child. He went to the circus. He, of course, was taken there, his sisters, with the butler, because I don't know if the mom was dead by that point or what, but the dad damn sure wasn't going to do it. So he saw this, he thought it was a woman doing the tightrope, and come to find out she was a 12-year-old girl. And she fell, and he thought she was falling like probably to her death, but it was part of the routine. And that kind of was something that stuck with him when it came to his business life, like always trying to succeed. And I think also, but that was apart from that dad too, because that dad was one of those succeeded, at everything, do everything to succeed. So they wind up fucking outside. Later that night, they play chess. While they're playing chess, he whips out a velvet box. He proposes to her. And part of her favorite sea glass was a part of the ring. It was really beautiful. But she doesn't want to be married for a couple reasons. One being, people will then know where she came from. Because you got to think, if he's getting married, people are going to start digging into her. Right? And that's too much. And he kept saying to her, I just need you to wear the ring. Just promise me you'll wear the ring for 30 days. She's like, it doesn't make sense. She's like, no. And she went to the bathroom. She came back and he's all upset. He's like, I didn't think you would react that way. And she was like, I'm not ready for that. She's like, I can barely function in this world. I'm trying to function as an adult in this new world. I'm trying to be this regular human, and now you're trying to put on top of that for me to be a wife. I am not ready for that. It's only been 5 months. And he's saying, well, if you don't agree to this, then we've got to take a break. And she said, whoa, what? Why do we have to take a break? She's like, you knew I wouldn't be ready for this. She's like, you know what? This was all a ploy on your part. You've been acting different. And clearly this is why you wanted to break up. You've been doing stuff to push to this point. You didn't have the balls to just stop the relationship, so you pulled this stunt. He tells her he's got an apartment for her. Everything's taken care of. He's like, he won't be able to have contact with her. And she's like, why? And can tell she's getting more and more pissed. But she decides, she says, you know what? There's not going to be a break. She says, we're done. He told her, what did she say? She told him when it came to because he made a comment about her not being able to say I love you. And she said, because the only person that I have ever said that to is my mother, and she treats me like shit. Why would I ever want to say that to someone again, knowing that they have the capacity to hurt me? And it just, I don't see how he thought this was going to work. I don't. This is trash. It's not like he couldn't tell her. He could have told her. Now, even though he had said to Parker Hughes is what he calls him. You be the one to tell her about the deal. He could have told her. But it's like she has to go into this blind. It's fucked up. She goes upstairs, slam the door. She, of course, can barely sleep. Wakes up the next morning. She takes a shower, takes one bag of the things she's going to need that she feels is practical. He says, I can get the rest of your stuff. She says, I don't want it. Take me back to the city now. He gives her all the information for the apartment. She told him, stop calling her Evelyn. Her name is Scout. He told her, I know you don't want anything from Scout, but don't be dumb. Like, you need a place to stay. So she took it. They ride back in silence. They get to the place. He tells her he'll be back for her in 30 days. He tells her if she needs anything, she can call Dugan. If she doesn't want to talk to him, she gives him Dr. Sheffield's number. He's like, 30 days. I promise 30 days. And says, and she says, you don't need to promise me 30 days because we're done. So she goes upstairs and she realizes he's not going to come after her. Like, when she gets in there, all of her things are there. And all of the things she had considered her favorite, shall we say, are all there. And only thing she can think about is the only thing she wants is him, and he's not here. We then switch to Lucian's POV. He, of course, is beating himself up. He is terrified. He's going to lose her. Dugan seems pissed with him, but he isn't saying anything. He takes him to Slade's office. He barges in, fucks up dude's meeting. The guy that was in there left. He went off on him. And the crazy thing is, Slade does not have a reason as to why he did it. Because he told him, you might as well tell me whatever, what was the reason for this. He said, because after this, whatever semblance of friendship we have is gone. He's like, Monique's dead, so you can't have her. So tell me, what was the point in doing this when you knew I loved her? He's like, he never gave an answer. He tried to act like he didn't do anything. He said, all I did was give the guy a job. He's like, you gave him a job. He said, yeah, but I gave him a job as a bellhop. You know how long it would have taken him to get himself together? By that time, she would have fallen and we would have been married, But no, you wanted to make sure you could fuck me in the ass. And I said, well, maybe that's the problem. Maybe he really do want to fuck you. I don't know. It's something. Because he was never, ever able to tell him why he did this shit. And so Lucian tells him he's going to buy out his shares because he can't do business with someone that he doesn't trust. He leaves and then goes down to Parker's office. So Parker is trying to make it seem as if Lucian was the one that bargained her off. And he's like, no, don't try that. You did that. He said, I was willing to do any and everything to save her life. He said, you knew she was in there with her dying mother and that she was about to freeze to death and you couldn't do anything. You had no way to do anything to save her. He said, and so you used that as an opportunity to better your situation. He said, now you've got to explain that to her, and I don't think she's going to take it too kindly. To know that basically you bargained her so that you could put yourself in a better position. That doesn't make you the honest man that you've been trying to come across as. And what else did he say? To me, honestly, I don't see how she could be upset. Bitch, you was about dead. You and your fucking mother. So the fact that he made this deal was literally to save your life. The only person you need to be fucking pissed off, well, you can be pissed off at Lucian for not telling you, because he should have told you about it, right? I will give that. But the monster to me is Parker. How the fuck are you supposed to be my friend, right? And you know I'm near death. But in order for me to not die, you've got to get something out of it. That doesn't sound like a friend at all. Because I'm like, he could have went down there and tried to get a job just like she did. Why did you fill out her application but you didn't fill out one for yourself? That shit don't make sense. You know? So he told him, you got 30 days. And Parker's like, you can't contact her. He said, I can't, but she can contact me. And you can't stop that. And so he's just left him there. And I said, oh, Lord, this is going to be a mess. So Lucian is outside of her place just watching to see her silhouette come past the window. It never does. He's on a tirade. Poor people that work for him. I mean, the one guy is an ad exec. He like ripped him a new one for no reason. It was just insane. His friend Jamie came to see him and he was like, yeah, everybody says you're like losing it. What the hell's going on? He told him everything that happened. Told him about the deal. Jamie feels like he should have told her, which I feel too would have fucked up any opportunity that Parker had, because that really shows Parker's character to me. You know, you're trying to be honorable, but you're not playing a game with honorable men. You understand what I'm saying? So why in the world would you not tell her? She, I felt, needed to know everything that she's walking into. She can make a fair assessment. But now you've made it to where you done told her we can't get you don't want to marry me, so we've now got to take a break. Her brain is not computing. Why is this man saying 30 days he's coming for me? Something's going on. What is it? But it's just pain right now for her. I'm sure. And now you're giving him the opportunity, Parker, to come in like the knight in shining armor, which is what he wants to do because he feels like that will probably be the only way he can win her. So his friend Jamie is just like, good grief. Like, he's like, well, where is she? And he says, she's safe. But I don't know how he's going to last these 30 days. I really don't. Because he is spiraling. So then Lucian winds up getting stoned one night. I mean, like, beyond drunk. There's a knock on the door. He's thinking like, okay, who is this? In the peephole, he sees the black hair. He's the dark hair. He's thinking, oh my gosh, she came back to me. So sure enough, he grabs the woman. He starts kissing and he feels like this don't feel right. He stops it. He looks and he focuses. He's like, you're not Evelyn. Who the hell are you? He says, who sent you? And we get the whole spiel eventually. So the woman's name is Sherry. She's an escort. She eventually admits that it was Parker Hughes that paid her $200 to like come up and get him to have sex with her. And then at the right time, he was going to call her and have her tell what happened in front of someone. And because he made a comment like, whoever we're in front of, you still tell everything. So he playing hardball. Then we get even more tea. So he paid the woman $500 to tell him everything. She did it. He called the agency asking for someone with dark hair, blue eyes. No one had blue eyes. She was the closest thing. 3 women came. She was the only one that stayed. They had long conversations. She fell in love with him. And he tells her, this is what's going on. You're being used. She taught him how to make love to women. He said he had, only had like quick sex. Not that he wanted to know how to make love to a woman. And so she taught him how to do it. And Lucian was just like letting her know he's a powerful man. He can make her life a living hell. He says, don't you ever go anywhere near the woman he's trying to woo. He says, stay out of the way. She agreed because she realizes this is a lot more than what the dude had been telling her. And she winds up leaving out. And Lucian is like, he got to get his shit together. Can't get drunk. Can't do this stupid shit. Because this bitch is playing dirty. He's trying any possible way to get him out of the picture for good. So he realizes, like, oh no, I got to tighten up, you know? And again, I just don't like the fact he's doing all this stuff and he's acting like he's such an honorable person, Parker. Parker is ruthless. He's like these rich men that he claims are so awful. He's one of them. Look at what you're willing to do. You're using this. When I realize she's an escort, but you're playing with her feelings, you know, trying to win over someone else because the only thing that matters is the end goal. And I'm sure he thinks he's not a bad person, which a lot of them sometimes are like that. They don't think they're doing anything wrong. Our boy Lucian, he's flown to Paris. He gets off the phone with his sister Isadora, and Isadora winds up spilling some tea. So apparently Jamie and Tony have been kind of dating. I don't think they've slept together yet, but they've been just getting to know each other. He's upset, and he was like, Jamie should have told me. And she was like, well, that's what he came to tell you when he visited you, but he said you had so much shit going on, he didn't want to compile onto that. He was like, still, he should have said something to me. She's too young and all this type of stuff. So, again, I guess Jamie's into, his same type of shit. And I guess knowing that your friend is into that, that means your sister gonna be fucking like that is weird. I get it. But at the same time, he's also very well aware that they have been flirting with each other for years. So you know the shit's there. I don't know why the fuck you shocked. So anyway, they've got hotels all over the world. They've got one in Paris. And so that also happens to be in Paris where his father is located with Tibet, who isn't the mistress. He's married to Tibet now, but he still calls her mistress. So he sent a text to Jamie saying, really, my sister? And Jamie texts back, I tried to tell you. And then Jamie said, I'll be in the gym, so I'll be ready for you by the time you get back. He winds up going to his father's house, and we'll call the woman the house manager. Her name's Claudette. She was so happy to see him because she hasn't seen him in years. And she could tell he was sad. And so he went in and he spoke with his father. We get a lot of flashback memories. One is of his mother. Now, she died of cancer, but she blamed the father and the mistress for why she was going through the pain that she did. Like, she literally said to Lucian, it's not the cancer that's killing me. It's your father and his mistress. Okay? So you got to think, if this is being said to a kid, that is going to stay with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is not something that should have been, I feel, that should have been said to him. It really wasn't. Hell, if he didn't want to do right in the kids there, why the fuck you saying that to them? I'm just saying. So, the dad had said that Tibet left to go take care of some stuff, but that was a lie. We find out some more things. Like, this dad has been actually pretty awful. So, Lucian goes off on him because he says, I guess the dad's been sick. He had a heart attack. And then he had, like, a few weeks ago, he got sick and it kind of almost put him on death's door. So it irritated Lucian because he was just kind of like, when Isadora found a lump in her breast, you didn't do anything. When Tony got in a car accident, you weren't there for him. You know what I mean? Like, you're not there for anybody when they go through stuff, but now when you go through something, now we're supposed to care? You know? He's like, you left the staff to take care of us, so you could go live a life with this woman. And so the dad says that he did love the mom, but it was a different way that he loved her, and he also loved Tibet. But it's like, bitch, you had 3 kids. Like, you know how fucking insane that is? Like, what I don't understand is after the mom died, it's bad enough that you was doing this shit when the mom was alive, right? That's fucked up. But why the fuck didn't you stay around for the children? If she didn't want to be there with the kids, that makes her horrible, because these children just lost a mother. Why wouldn't you want to be there for him? You claim to love this man so much, you know? Well, then we find out a little bit more tea. So, the mom knew he had this bitch. When they got engaged is when this shit started. And then it stopped. And then they ran into each other again and they picked it back up. So the mom, this is how I feel about it. The dad ain't shit. We know he ain't shit. But the mom put herself in that position because you were engaged to this motherfucker and you knew he was cheating with this woman. And you still fucking married him and you still had kids with him knowing that this was the situation. And now you want to put that burden on those kids by telling them, look what they're doing to me. I think that mom did that shit because she knew she was on her way out of here. And she was like, ain't no way in hell it's going to be a peaceful transition when I leave. They're never going to accept Tibet. I think that's why she said that shit, to be honest with you. To make sure the husband would never get the woman he really loved and the kids. You know, I think that's what happened. They never say it, but that's what I think possibly happened. Either way, it's fucked up. It's all fucked up. He has a flashback of the dad telling him how love doesn't do anything but cripple people, harness that hate, like all this type of bullshit, you know. So his dad had asked him to stay at the estate. At first he wasn't gonna do it, but then um he can't lie. His dad does look fragile as hell. And when he looks outside, he does see Tibet outside on a bench and she's crying. And he says he doesn't think he's ever seen Tibet cry. So Lucian's been in Paris for about a week now. Food don't even taste right because he's still fucked up, okay? So he's in the library making a call because he plans on leaving out that night. And then Tibet comes in with papers, their insurance papers, medical, everything. And she was just saying how, your father wants me to look at this stuff and I'm not good with this stuff. And so he helps her with it. And then there's a little confession going on. Tibet tells him, when the father thought he was dying, that he said his one regret was choosing her over his kids. And she's like, you know how much that hurt, because to know that you were the mistake of someone's life. And she says, but it was a bad choice. She said, and I'm sorry for that choice he made. She says they couldn't let each other go. They just couldn't do it. She's like, in the life we've had, it has not been the greatest. She's like, I'm sorry for what I did to your mom. Your mom loved your father and your father did love your mother, but he also loved me too. And she says it was hard for her to accept. She tried to stay away and she couldn't. And she's like, she's like, you're in love with someone and you're running. She says, you need to be with the one you love. Don't have a life filled with regrets. And so he calls the pilot and there's a shortage. And so he's going to have to be there for another day or two. We switch to Parker's POV. And he's at a disadvantage. So he's missed a few days because he doesn't know where Scout is. He doesn't even know if she's in the city. He's concerned. Another thing we find out that he needed from Sherry was the address of where old girl was located. And so when Sherry comes over, she gets him the address. Of course, he says how, he's loved Scout for years and how he's had opportunities but never wanted to scare her away and all this type of stuff. So when Cherry comes over, it's crazy because he played it the exact way that Lucian told her. Like, it went the way he said it was going to go. And he got what he needed from her. He's not going to deal with her anymore. He told her, I was very forward with you, you know. I told you what my goal was. He kept saying, he's trying to save Scout. He's going to hurt her and all this type of shit. And he's saying, he wants to chew her up and spit her out. He's done that with people before. And I don't even think he believes that's the truth. I believe it's his way of trying to convince himself that he should have her. Because the truth is, you had the time to get her and you didn't do it. And then once somebody else gets her, now all of a sudden, it's this what about me, what about me? He tried to give Sherry money when she left, and she was honest. She said that she, felt bad because, she did fall for him because he made her feel special, and she knows that she'll never be treated that way again. And I do feel bad for her. I know she's an escort, but people still have feelings, and I do feel bad for her. And she tried to warn him off, like, when it comes to that dude, like, he scared me. That man's got real power, you know? And, but Parker's like, he's doing really well. He's got that gift like his father. He can read the markets. And that's what's been securing him the promotions. He saved the company a lot of money. That company a lot of money. And he keeps saying, he's not like certain people, but he feels like he should have her love. He waited so long, he should be the one to have it. But unfortunately, that is not how love works. We switch back to Scout's POV. Poor baby is going through it. Absolute misery she's going through. She feels like she's addicted to sadness. This is day 8. She started sleeping outside on the balcony in the lounge chair. She can't stand to be within the walls. It's just a lot. She hears her name being called out, and it's Parker. She thinks it's fake at first, but then it's him, so she buzzes him up, and he sees her, and he kind of makes his face like, what the hell? So basically, I guess he didn't think she loved Lucian, but the way she's looking, clearly this girl was beyond in love with him. He tried to minimize it, saying, you didn't really love him. She said, yes, I did. And he's like, but he threw you away, so he didn't want you. She said, well, technically, that's not true. He asked me to marry him, and Parker goes, he really did that? She said, well, damn, I didn't think I was not worthy of being married. He said, no, that's not what I meant. I just didn't think he would do that. His last relationship, apparently crashed and burned, so I didn't think he was that type. So then he tells her that, besides, I hear he's over in Europe, in Paris, And she's like, is he with someone? And he says, I don't know, but I don't think anyone goes to the most romantic city in the world without someone. She's crushed and winds up throwing up. He looks at her like, what the hell? So they come to the conclusion that hold on. He asked her to move in with him. Parker did. She says, I can't do that. He was like, I'll take care of you. And for her, it's like, I'm not going to go from one situation of being taken care of to another one, right? And she said, I'm not going to stay with you. But she told him, if you want to stay with me, that's fine. I could use the company. And of course, he smiles and agrees. So it's time for bed. She goes outside. He's like, what are you doing? She's like, it feels more comfortable. He stays out there with her until morning, and then he said, I've had enough of this sleeping outside shit. So he goes inside. He's like, is there anything to eat? And she's sitting there like, my life is falling apart, and he's thinking about food. So he says, you need to start looking for a job. Do you get a paper? He's like, we'll go get one. And they look through it, winds up landing on this Clemens grocery store. They're hiring for like a store clerk. She goes down there. She thinks the boss is kind of weird. His name's Travis. But she gets the job. She's got to bring her tax information, those forms and stuff like that on Monday, which Parker can help her with. So when she comes out, she tells Parker she got the job. They go back to the house. He says he'll cook. They have grilled cheese and tomato soup. And it did feel good to eat. So she takes a shower. She winds up taking her phone. And she called Lucian. It goes straight to voicemail. Parker's on the couch. He's reading To Kill a Mockingbird. He's halfway through it. He's read it a ton of times. And he tells her about the story. One of the characters' name is Scout. And Scout's a child in the book. And he does tell her how, she reminds him of that character, and it kind of pissed her off because it's like, why do you keep putting me in comparison to a fucking child, you know? And she goes off on him. And he's like, no, 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 that's not what I think of you. But it's like she tells him, you're always trying to speak in parables, like you're trying to talk over people. And she said, what, that bull crap you said to Lucian? And he said, well, I was doing that to be a prick, you know? And she starts to defend Lucian, you know, saying, you don't really know him. I got to see a different side of him. This, of course, upsets Parker. He's like, I don't want to hear that. He tells her again, you know, about coming to move in with him because she kept saying she needed to get out. And he says, did he give you a time frame to be out of here? And she says no, but he said he would come back for me in 30 days. And I don't want to be here in case he doesn't. And then I have to deal with that feeling. So they've come to an agreement. She agrees to move in with Parker. She'll pay half the rent. She tells him about the fact that she's got $200,000 in an account that Lucian gave her, but she doesn't want to touch that money. And she's like, can we leave now? He says, you want to leave tonight? She says, yeah. She wants to start forgetting. So they get to Parker's place. It's a 1-bedroom. It's smaller. She kind of freaked out because he had said it was big enough for both of them. But he had only 1 bedroom. And she's like, I thought you said this was big enough for both of us. And he says, well, I'm sorry it's not enough for you. She says, no, I mean, you have 1 bedroom. I thought you meant it was going to be 2 for both of us. He says, I'll just sleep on the couch. She's like, no, you can't do that. This is your place. He's like, no, this is our place. And she says, well, I'll take, you know, we can do alternate, you know, 1 night on the bed, 1 night on the couch. He's like, okay, but you can take the bed tonight. She's like, okay. So he goes and takes a shower. She puts up the groceries. She looks around the apartment. And she sees that in his closet, he's got suits. And she's like, why would he have suits? So when he comes out of the shower, she notices he's got nice muscle and shit. She notices he's put on a little weight. He looks like a man. But she asks him, why do you have suits? He says, it's for my job. She says, well, what do you do? He says, I work in an office downtown. She's like, yeah, but what do you do at the office? He says he watches the markets. And she goes, oh my gosh, it's amazing. She hugs him. She was so proud. He's like, what's that for? She's like, because you're making a lot of money, which means you've got benefits. You've got security. And it looks like he was about to start an argument with her because of the comment. And he just goes, money is just a means to an end, you know? And he makes a comment that he can take care of her. And she said, you mean take care of yourself, you know? And so she starts thinking in her head, you know, maybe coming here was a mistake. Maybe what Lucian had told her was true about him, you know? And he also had made a comment about that he could have gotten her off the street sooner, but he didn't want to do this type of work or whatever. So you mean to tell me you got so much love for this person that you went and got a job that you didn't want? I just don't get that. I feel like you would have never gotten a job because you wanted to be her hero to this homeless, illiterate girl. That's the truth. And you never expected someone like Lucian to come along and fall for her and want her. And now she can have this grandiose life. You know, it's like, and now, but you feel like she doesn't need that. It's not about what she needs. It's about the fact that someone sees her and wants to give her the fucking world. Whereas you keep trying to minimize her. And keep trying to make her feel like she should be just one notch above the streets. You know, like, that's it. It's weird. They rented a car. He took her to go see Pearl. Pearl's still on that same stupid shit. She want to leave. She doesn't do any activities. Find out she can't read either. She was happy that old girl wasn't with Lucian anymore. She said all he did was boss her around. And then she said something about finally you two figured it out. And she's like, Scout's like, what are you talking about? She's like, we're just friends. Well, Parker wasn't saying nothing. And the mom said, well, you may think it's friends, but I don't think he does. And now it all makes sense because it's like clearly Lucian was not wrong. Parker's got feelings, but she doesn't like him like that. She only sees him as a friend. So they leave from there, and on the way back, she takes her phone out. The shit don't work. She took the battery out, put it back in, nothing. Won't even turn on. So she wanted to stop by the phone store, and he said, maybe it'll just work itself out. She said, no, let's just stop by the phone store. Stops by. She tells the cab driver where to go, and the clerk at the store tells her, oh, this thing was submerged in water. She's like, that's not possible. She's like, I haven't got my phone wet. The man said, well, it got put in water and it's already dry. That's why you see this red thing. And so there's nothing that can be done. He's like, if you can give me the account number, we can get you a replacement phone. But of course, she doesn't know the account number. And Parker's like, well, maybe you could just get a new phone. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I don't want it. I don't need it. That was her last lifeline to Lucian. So she doesn't even know his number by heart. So she leaves out. And he just kind of goes, I'm sorry about your phone, knowing damn fucking well he's the one that did it. You know, if she hasn't put her goddamn phone near water, how the hell her phone get wet? Because that bitch did it. Because I guarantee you he's gone through her stuff. He saw where she called Lucian. And he decided to stop that. It's just awful. Because to me, it just kind of feels like it's just about winning. Like, he keeps saying that's what these rich guys are about, but that's what you're about. You didn't come to her and tell her how you feel and make her make the decision that way. You needed help. You needed slick ways to try and make it happen. What makes you so different from all the other rich creeps, as you like to describe them? You know, I don't think he's a good friend. I don't think he's that good of a person. You know, I feel like if she were with him, he's someone, because because they were on the streets for so long, he's going to give her the bare minimum. And if she tries to get anything over that, he's always going to tell her, you need to be grateful for this small amount. That's what I think he is. I don't think he's good. They get back to the apartment. She's still looking at the phone. He's getting upset. He starts saying stuff like, it's not the end of the world. You'll get past this. You have to allow someone else to love you. All this type of shit. And she starts saying to him how Lucian called him the Black Knight. And he's like, why would he say that? Because you're more stealth than what you appear as. He smiles, and she says, he says, I just want you to have fun. So they went to like a baseball game where kids were playing. Then he took her to a church and they got a free meal. And back in the day, this is how they used to get a free meal. But I'm like, this is fucking insane, because I get she don't want to touch her money, but he's got money. That's for people that are in fucking need. Y'all shouldn't have been there, you know? And again, it means to me he's trying to keep her in the same space. Be grateful for just basics, you know? Now, I'm not saying that you should not be grateful for basics, because you should, right? But why do you feel like you got to keep her at a low level? You know, it's insane. So they get back to the apartment. He kisses her on the cheek. It lingered a little too long. He told her she could take the bed again if she wanted. She said no, her turn was on the couch. He said the couch isn't comfortable. He's like, we could share the bed. She says, no, I'll deal with it. And so now she's terrified. She's probably going to lose Parker too, because even though in her mind she's thinking maybe she should try and give Parker an opportunity, maybe it'll help her forget about Lucian, the minute she thinks it, it feels wrong. Poor girl, she had a dream about being at this like high-end aquarium event, and Lucian kind of doing some voyeurism shit and getting fucked, and people couldn't see, but it was happening where they were. She wakes up freaked out, and of course she cries herself because it was just a dream. It's Sunday. She dropped everything off at Clemens. She's going to be working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays from like 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then on Fridays and I think Saturdays, 9 to 5. And he kind of looked disappointed. And she's like, what's that for? He says, well, I figured, we'd be able to, you'd have the weekends off and we could do stuff together. And she's like, well, I'm new. I don't get to choose my schedule. And then he asked her what she wanted to do today. He wanted to know if she wanted to rent a movie. She says, "How are we going to do that? You don't own a TV." He's like, "I can get one." And she was like, "Why would you get one when you don't like TV?" And then he made some type of comment. It was something. It kind of sounded like he was saying that he got the job for her. And it pissed her off. And she said, "Why are you putting me in this? I never asked you to get a job. I don't have anything to do with that." He's like, "Well, I didn't mean it like that." She's like, "Well, what did you mean? Because you got a job because you needed money, and that has nothing to do with me." So then he changes the subject. He says, like, you're exhausting or something like that. And she says, "And you're not funny." So he winds up tickling her, and he was about to put her down, and he went to kiss her, and she turned her face, so he had to kiss. So he kissed her cheek, and then he asked her if he could take her out the next day after work, and he was like, it's his money. He should be able to spend it the way he wants. And she said, "Fine." She goes to work. It's a pretty good day. The boss, Travis, was leered a little bit, but thankfully the guy that worked next to her helped her out. He was great. He made her laugh. So after work, she comes home. She's getting ready. Parker comes home sooner. He's taking her to a show. And so he takes her to the circus. So, of course, when she sees the woman on the tightrope, her mind goes to old boy Lucian. But then she squeezes Lucian, not Lucian, Jesus. She squeezes Parker's leg and told him, how happy she was, to be there. So then afterwards, they go back to his place and he kisses her and she kisses him back. Of course, it's no fireworks. It was nice, And she decided not to try and compare him to Lucian and just kind of be in the moment. She was not ready to have sex with him. It was not happening, but she did say they could be in the bed together. And so he went and took a shower. Then she went and took a shower. And right when they were about to lay down, boom, boom, boom. "Evelyn, open up." She thought she was crazy for a moment. She's getting ready to go to the door, and Parker's like, "No, just let me go. Make sure everything's okay first." So he had this strange look on her face. So he goes, and Lucian is like, "Evelyn, come out." Parker says, "I had 2 more weeks. That was the deal." She's hearing this, and she goes, "What deal?" So everything comes to head, and he makes Parker tell her the deal. He told her why he agreed to it. He said, "I was desperate to find you." She's like, "Whose idea was the deal?" Looks at Parker. She knows it was him. Now she feels like she has no one. All the pieces are making sense. She's mad at Lucian because she's like, "How could you be willing to give me up?" And it's like, it's not that he was willing to give her up. He actually tried to do everything with the marriage proposal. But you freaked out. And I'm not saying she wasn't wrong for freaking out. She's got issues, right? But he was trying to find ways so that it didn't happen. And so he was trying to be a man of his word. He agreed to something in desperation that he did not want to do. But your life meant more to him than you all being together, right? But your life to someone who's supposed to be your friend, this was on condition. I'll help you if that's not a friend. That is not a friend. She decides she's getting out of here. She's so hurt. She puts on some jeans, gets some clothes, and she's leaving. Of course, Parker saying, "Don't do this. Let me explain." There's nothing to explain. You did it. And so she says to Lucian, because he won't get out the way, she has to say the word. She says, "Checkmate." He moves out of the way. He tells her, "You've got 5 minutes. That's as much of a head start I'm giving you, and then I'm coming after you with everything I have." And she decides she's going to go into hiding. And that's how the book ends. So we wrap up everything next week with the final book in the trilogy, Coming Home. What did you all think? Let me know. I really love this. What do you all think of Parker? Do you all think that Parker is a good guy? Because I believe he's a piece of shit. That's my honest opinion of him. I think he's awful. I don't think he has good intentions. I think he's awful. I just can't get over the fact that her life, you knew she was dying, her and her mother, and you wouldn't help this man who could help her. You wouldn't do it unless you could get something out of it. I just don't see how he's good. I don't see how he's even her real friend. And then he's getting upset with her because he can clearly see she fell in love with Lucian, and clearly Lucian is in love with her. And he's pissed about it. And I just don't see how you love someone and you do that type of shit. You know? So we'll see what happens with him if she decides to forgive Parker. I'm curious. I would just not want him in my life at all. I just do not like that Parker character. I just don't. But let me know what you guys think. Drop down in the comment section and let me know. Do you also feel like it would have been better if he would have just told her this is what the situation is? You know? Like, I feel like he should have told her about the deal. And that way, she would have had more of a choice in it, but she could have also, that gives her a better clue as to who Parker is. Because I believe she's so devastated because she thought Parker was this upstanding, honorable person, and she sees he's not. He's fucking grimy. And she sees it. But I loved it. It was a great read. Let me know what you guys think. Drop down in the comment section and let me know. If you are in the market for a beautiful notebook or journal, I do have those available, and the links are going to be available down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. And as always, I truly do thank you all for your support, and thank you for tuning in to the Always Reading Book Club.